Welcome back to the Hoopsville Classic Coaches Corner, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Dave McHugh, joined by John Barron, head coach for Gwynedd Mercy. And first and foremost, welcome to the Hoopsville Classic.
Well, thanks for having us. We're honored to be here. It's a good tournament to be involved with.
Talking to you just after a tough loss to Catholic, a game you led 8 points in the second half, a 9-point swing, gives Catholic a 1-point lead. Then it was back and forth in the last 10. Catholic comes out with a 5-point win. Tough loss, first loss of the season, but I definitely have a feeling that's one to build from.
Yeah, it's a disappointing loss, obviously, doing this after a 5-point loss to a really good team. I mean, they're a great program. It's a program that we've kind of aspired to be like, I think, in my time, recruiting really good basketball players, academic type of kids, and over my time, it's been something that we've been trying to do and evolved into the team that we are today. So we can take a lot of positives out of today, but nevertheless, it is a little bit disappointing. And so we got to turn the page and move on, though.
You guys like to joke you have 7 starters. Technically, you're going to only go with 5, but you have 7 starters. And in that sense, you automatically have a pretty deep team. You're willing to go to the bench and go to guys in reserve roles who seem to step in with a lot of confidence. How important is that, especially early in the season and going into a season that I have a feeling you guys have a lot of promise?
Yeah, we have high expectations for the team. We have everybody back from a team that went 19-7. We've been talking about this 7 starter role, which has made our practices really good because all 7 guys want to be that top 5 and start. So our practices have been scrappy, kind of ornery and physical, and it's made us better. And it's not just about those 7 guys. We have some role players that I think have accepted their role as well. But we are pretty deep, and it's something that we want to build on. This loss here will obviously do that for us, but the 7 guys, any combination of 5 is okay. Our big kids can shoot, our guards can all dribble, so we don't necessarily go with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 number. We play bigs and littles. That's how we call it.
You've already played 2 games against 2 teams that are going to be in conversation with you, even though you're in a different region. We'll talk about that in a minute. Wesley, you get the win, the loss to Catholic. You've already gotten 2 games that are going to mean a lot later in the season. How much do you take from those games? How much do you use these games moving forward? Or is it one of those you just like, okay, we've got some experience, but we got a different conference and we're going to focus on that?
Well, I mean, like we always talk about only, the winning the conference is going to get you to the NCAA tournament.
Right.
I mean, we've been fortunate one time, and Cabrini a while back had a chance, and I think they did go back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But typically our conference is a one bid league, so to speak. But Wesley, the win was good. I mean, when we scheduled it, when I looked at being on the regional ranking committee here, I kind of have some inside understanding of how the numbers work.
Yeah.
And so I looked at Wesley knowing that they were, a really good team, 2 or 3 years in a row in the NCAA tournament. I know their coach really well, a great guy, and he grew up in our area. So when he called me and we talked about it, it was going to be a good game. Not knowing how it was going to turn out, we played really well on Tuesday night. And I think we kind of maybe opened some eyes. Maybe we're in the back of someone's mind. Maybe we're in the middle now. And we were hoping to kind of take that into this game. But 2 good non-conference wins, games, really did a lot for the confidence of our guys.
Now you'll take on Mary Hardin Baylor in the next game of the Hoopsville Classic for you guys on the roster. That'll be on Saturday. Certainly not in region. It'll still count, though, for you guys because you're well over the 70% threshold just in conference play. But how do you approach that game? Is that a game that you approach going, it's certainly not a must-win, but that's an important game for us, can help us a lot? Or is it one of just a learning experience game? Let's take what we can learn. Let's execute what we want to execute. Not like an exhibition game, but you know what I'm saying? Not taking it like you may have taken Catholic.
Well, I think so. I mean, everything you said might be right, actually. I mean, we want to win the game, obviously, but again, we've approached this tournament like it's not going to make or break our season, whether we go 2-0, 0-2, or 1-1. We were never as good as our last game or as bad as our last game. That's kind of something that we always say. But looking at Mary Hardin Baylor, they're big. They've been in the national spotlight over the last few years. I think they were in the national championship
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So for us, it's, again, a good way to measure our program and see where it is. And it's a good way to kind of maybe get from the back of someone's mind to the middle of their mind when they're thinking about where we stand in the Atlantic or the Mid-Atlantic region.
You talked about being a 1-bid league in the CSEC. Let's talk about the CSEC a bit. Cabrini has dominated the conference over the last few years. Certainly some changes, though, with Cabrini. Marcus Kahn leaves, goes to Mary Washington to be the head coach. Aaron Walton Moss loses some of the big weapons that surrounded him after a disappointing year last year, I think, only because they didn't get as far in the NCAA tournaments.
Yeah.
I think they expected. I have the feeling, and correct me if I'm not wrong, that maybe some in the CSEC, including yourselves, think this is a year to maybe take it from Cabrini. Is there that sense amongst you guys that you can maybe take this one from Cabrini?
Well, obviously, we think that every year.
Yeah, sure.
The last 5 years hasn't gone that way. I think, one of the things I tell a lot of people, especially in the Philadelphia area, is our league relatively gets disrespected in a lot of conversations. But the top 5 and 6, teams in our league, I'll take Rosemont. I mean, their coach does a great job. He recruits. Bobby Hughes. I just watched them on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
They're gonna win games, and they won a tournament already. Keystone's always good. Newman is exceptional. Jimmy Rulo's doing a great job. Immaculata's been in the mix over the years. So all those teams that are in our league, I would put them up against other leagues' top teams. So with that being said, we all think that the games are really competitive, but we have to give the respect to Cabrini. They've won it 5 years. We haven't beaten them since 2009, so I can't sit here and act as if like we're going to win, but we're sure as heck going to compete and try. There's no doubt about it. I think our guys are confident, but Aaron's a great player. Vinny Walls is really good. They have 3 really good freshmen. You'll see them tomorrow. I saw them on Monday night and thought, they lost guys. They did lose Marcus, who's a big loss, being that he was a staple there.
Yeah.
But they still have the talent to win. There's no doubt, and you'll see that tomorrow, I think.
One of the knocks of the conference has been the strength of schedule numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, Cabrini's strength of schedule numbers usually are not great. It hasn't allowed you guys to enter the regional ranking conversations usually. And it's because of the bottom of the conference. The tough question I'm just curious the answer to is there ever conversations in conference amongst coaches going, we need to improve to help us get that extra bid and maybe even be, 1 year to get 2 bids or something out of this, 2 extra bids besides the automatic. Is there ever conversations going, listen, guys, come on, help us out?
Yeah. Well, here's how I'm going to address that honestly, because 2009 when we got it, we thought the league was really good that year. I'm not even going to mention the schools by name.
No.
I do know that the coaching hires by those schools are really good. Division I coaches, top-notch assistants that are getting jobs. All those schools that are quote-unquote supposed to be the bottom are now recruiting their butts off. They're competing every night. Some of those teams that you're considering the bottom, I'm concerned about. I saw a couple of them play already, on tape, and we have a direct exchange on Huddle. I've watched every team in our league already, and I'm impressed with some of the teams. So hopefully they're out of conference. I root for every team out of conference. I'll root for Cabrini tomorrow. Our out of conference schedule wins have not been there in the last few years, and that's why we have talked about it at our league meeting. And what really happens out of that is we encourage each other to make sure that they win.
Sure.
So, and with the coaching, I think it's going to be a different type of situation this year.
Another change too is you moved to the Atlantic region. You were on the regional committee on the Mid-Atlantic. You'll now move to the Atlantic region. You join the Mac Freedom from the Mid-Atlantic along with the Skyline, the CUNYAC, and the NJAC. Changes the Atlantic region quite a bit, but an Atlantic region that, in my opinion, has been the bottom of the 8 regions in the sense of strength. How much does that maybe change the equation for this conference and help maybe position you guys even for that opportunity for another bid?
Well, again, for us, I think just learning about the other teams and the other regions. As on the committee, it's pretty much cut and dry. It's concrete and observable. It's less opinion. It's more about the numbers. But again, I think it's just about winning out of your league, and that's what it comes down to. Every league is gonna be 500 overall. Top to bottom.
Yeah.
So
Any
it's
double round robin
right,
leagues.
and that's our league. We have 8 games outside, 7. outside. And we're encouraging all these teams to go out and play your competitive level and, try and get teams above 500 that you can beat and try and make it competitive for our league. And we'll see how it goes this year.
What should we expect from the Griffins this season?
Well, we try and play fast, although we really didn't show it tonight. We try, we score, I think we call ourselves a hybrid. We can play with fast teams. We can play with the up and down teams. We have the athletes to be able to do that. And I personally pride our program in being able to play half court and try and play deep into the shot clock with teams that need that, and that's who we play today. So our score didn't indicate 80 points, But I think we did a good job playing defense into the shot clock. I think we did a good job running our stuff and running some sets. We scored quite a number of times on out-of-bounds stuff and half-court stuff. So we're kind of like a hybrid in our league, and we have some high expectations. We have some good players, and we think maybe some of those players can move into the national spotlight over the next few years.
He's Coach John Barron from Gwynedd Mercy, head coach. Obviously, they lose a tough one to Catholic, but they'll take on Mary Hardin Baylor at 6 o'clock on Saturday in game number 2 for both teams on day number 2 of the third annual Hoopsville National Invitational Classic. As you probably remember, or maybe not, we always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be watching?
I think I want to extend my thanks to Hoopsville for having us, and Gary Stewart. I had some lengthy conversation on trying to get our program into this tournament. We're honored to be here, and hopefully we represent our school well.
And you certainly did, at least so far in the first game. Again, Coach John Barron here at the Hoopsville Coaches Corner, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings.